Opening night, 1977. Uh, one of the how I found this movie. One of the top letterbox 500 letterbox or something. I'll go to the list. Yeah, I mean everyone knows it on that's on letterbox. Letterbox is top 500 films. So I was scrolling through this, and I find this movie after I couldn't watch Heat because it wasn't on Prime anymore or something. And this was on HBO Max. So whatever streaming services you win on this one. But I found this movie, and I decided to watch it. It's an indie film that explores the overlap, the interactions between the actor and their work. This one's set in a play. They're doing a play instead of a traditional movie. And first off, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I mean, I'm not saying my opinion here is justified or anything like that, but I'm clearly not the intended audience for it. It's a movie that deals with aging and kind of more specifically aging as you're a woman aging, which is a young man. I can't really or a young boy. You can't really judge on that. But I think it was a little bit of a criticism towards, the older people of tomorrow. In the starting scene, it has an opening, and it's an opening in the play that the line is delivered. He's a photographer, and he's taking a picture of an older woman, and he says, "In every wrinkle," I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember the exact line, but it was essentially, "In every wrinkle, there's a pain," and that's why the old people know everything. They've been through the hard times to figure out the new the right choice. That's why they're wise. That's why it's not necessarily just because they've lived a long time. They've lived through a lot of things. That's kind of where wisdom comes from, in my mind. And I think that's what the movie was trying to get at as well. But it was so in my mind, it's you have these things actors. You have actors and actresses who don't want to age. And that's the central point of the movie. She doesn't want to age because her career is over, and she's traded so much for her career that she gets so little, like from her personal life, from her relationships and things like that. It's a dichotomy of the grass is greener over here, but it's I also have all this cool stuff over here, but if I keep going, I'm going to lose it, and then I'm not going to have this, and I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have either of them. Because once I play an older woman, then I'm always going to be an older woman kind of thing, which I think is really interesting when you pair with a career such as acting, where you don't really have you don't want to be in stress. You don't want these wrinkles. You don't want the hard times, and it kind of inhibits the gathering of knowledge to become wise. And I think that's especially more true as we move forward as a society of how, more pleasant the times have gotten over the last 50 years or so, even since this movie's been made. Like it's significantly, life's a lot better for a lot more people today than it was in the 70s. And especially more if you go like the 20s, like 100 years from now, it's obvious. There was like war and famine and all kinds of things, and there's still war and famine, but there's less and less of it as the world continues to modernize. And I'm a little privileged in that I'm an American citizen, so it's always like America's a little bit of the exception of the world because of its place in geopolitics and things like that. But I do think that is something to say. Like, if you don't go through the hard times, which it's kind of corny, but like that's kind of like a central plot of Naruto is like good times make harder times, and then hard times make more impressive people, kind of like thing like that, like the wheel turns, which I think is something, even though it's a Naruto, I think it's very true, and I can't wait to see that happen with Boruto whenever they get around to making it with Boruto. But besides that, it's not my movie, not my type of movie, but it is an acting masterclass. I don't disagree with that. I think it's a heavy display of acting, which I think fits so well with the narrative of the story. Like, what is acting? How do you break that part off of you, kind of thing. But no, Gena Rowlands, I think that's how you say her name. She does very well in this movie. And it has like probably the craziest, like most crystal clear. I don't know how they got the shot. I'll try to find a picture of the shot. But it's like the craziest, like most high definition shot I've ever seen from a 1970 movie, or like before the 2000s. It was like they took an iPhone back there, or not something. I'm trying to generalize it, but it was like a crazy clear picture. I was like, what am I looking at? And this is like an indie movie. I'll try to find the picture of that to put on screen, because it was just like so crazy, and there's a crazy shot. And that's another thing, is she has a little bit of a mental psychosis, something, where she can't really make the differentiation, and she has like an imaginary friend, is what she's calling it, of this dead fan, which is, and adds another layer to the plot, which I think is probably the most interesting and kind of, pushes the plot the furthest, and is probably the reason it's such a high listed movie on the LetterBoxd, because otherwise, I mean, it's a decent movie, but I definitely think that aspect elevates it somewhat. Yeah, that's a lot of my thoughts on it. So I'm trying to like justify it, because I think I'm leaning like to a 3.5 star, because it's a good movie, but I just can't really relate to it, and I don't want to like be too harsh on it, because I know it's not made for me, but I do enjoy a lot of what they put into it, and yeah, I think I've there's another cool scene at the end, because it's all building up to the opening night of the play, where they open in New York. The play opens in New York, and there goes like through a lot of trouble to get it started, because of the actress's mental cognition failing, and she gets drunk and all these type of things, and it finally like accumulates to the opening night, and then there's this good scene, we're all walking in, and is that Columbo?
Hey, hello.
I'm asking you about a murder. I'm asking you about a murder.